So I just got out of seeing Spider-Man No Way Home for the 4th time, and I thought it was about time for me to do a spoiler review. I'm just gonna make this really quick, and so, of course, it's a spoiler review. There are spoilers if you have not seen the movie, and at this point, I don't know why you haven't. If you care about spoilers, you would have seen it already. So go see it if you haven't, and then come back and watch this video. If you have seen it, I'm sorry I'm shaking. The movie's just so good. If you have seen it, let's talk spoilers. I love this movie, and I remember when I wrote my review, I didn't want to say too much about it because it's just so good, and I didn't want to spoil any of the surprises. But now I'm going to talk about a couple things. I love how this feels like a culmination of all the Spider-Man movies, not just Tom Holland's, but Andrew Garfield's and Tobey Maguire's. I love how it kind of, like, not so much Tobey's, but it wraps up Andrew's arc. It kind of ties off some loose ends because he never got his 3rd movie. And I love that. I love the little moments, like him catching MJ, which was just beautiful. I remember the first time I saw it, I screamed and cheered because it was just so good. I love even with the villains. They're saving the villains. They're redeeming them. They're completing their stories too. And I just thought it was so good. I loved seeing Willem Dafoe back as Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. That man has not lost any of his skill. It's been 20 years and he's still perfect. When that Goblin voice comes out, oh my god, I got chills. It is insanely good. Same with Alfred Molina. He just steps right back into the character's Doc Ock. Jamie Foxx was cool. I loved what they did with Electro and changed his look. I thought he was much better this time around. The Lizard and Sandman, they were okay. You can tell, like, their actors obviously weren't there for much of it, unlike Jamie Foxx, Alfred Molina, and Willem Dafoe. So we didn't get as much of them, and I think that's why I didn't care for their characters as much, or they just didn't make as much of an impact on me. Sorry, I love this movie. Whew, and it's a little cold. But yeah, I just loved what they did with the villains and how the whole plot is about saving them, because that's very much like a Peter Parker thing. He is always, like, maybe not in the Homecoming ones yet, but he's kind of taught that lesson by Aunt May in this one, and that is his, like, trademark of the character. Peter Parker is always looking to help out people who are in trouble. Just do whatever he can. He always tries. He doesn't, like, let them just go and go off to their fate. So I thought that was perfect that he chose to save the villain. Sure, it might seem a little silly that he's going against Doctor Strange to do it, but I thought it was, like, it just seems so natural. I love how this movie very much puts Peter in the position, and it sets him up to be that classic Spider-Man character that we know. Because in these movies, yeah, he's been kind of carried by Tony Stark, by Nick Fury and other characters, and now we finally get him becoming his own character. And he gets the classic suit at the end. I loved that. I loved what they did. He's on it, and it's so emotional. The ending, like, where everyone's forgetting him, I thought that was perfect. It's Peter Parker sacrificing his happiness for the world. And that's another thing Peter Parker does all the time. He makes this tough sacrifices, and it's emotional. It's really sad to see him give up MJ and Ned and all his friends and everyone who knows he's Spider-Man and knows him. But it really puts his character in quite the interesting and really exciting position, because he's Peter Parker Spider-Man out on his own. And it feels like it's returning to the true origins of the character, and I really hope we get this new trilogy they've been talking about inside the MCU, because that could be really cool. But I just loved where it placed all the characters. I thought the introduction scene with Andrew and Tobey, it's phenomenal. Oh my god, I love that scene so much. I just want to cheer every time. And I love the banter scenes between the 3 Spider-Man. It's like about when they're talking about cracking the backs, where the webs come from, stuff like that. Villains they fought. I love that. I loved Andrew's portrayal of his Peter in this one. He just seemed very much like the middle brother, and he was just so funny and so charming. It makes me want a 3rd Andrew Garfield movie so bad, because he just fits, like, he plays that character so well. Tobey Maguire, he stepped right back into it too. You feel that awkward Peter Parker-ness back, and it's just so cool. But what I really love is that scene where they all run out and swing together, and the music builds, and it's just, every time I see it, I just want to leap out of my chair and scream. It just makes me so happy and feel so good. It's as good as the Avengers Assemble moment from Endgame. And that's it for me. Like, I've seen it 4 times. I want to go see it at least one more time before it leaves theaters, because I love this movie. It's my 3rd favorite Marvel movie in the MCU, my favorite Spider-Man movie, and it's everything I wanted from it. I loved it. Like, it's perfect the way it is. I wouldn't have done it any better myself. Well, of course I wouldn't have done it better myself. John Watts did a great job. Kevin Feige for setting this up. He did such a good job. I loved how Marvel was finally able to work with Sony and create this really, really cool hybrid. And yeah, there's nothing like it. And that I don't think we'll ever see something as exciting as this again. Something that wraps up 20 years of storytelling and even more from the comics. It is truly something special and something that just makes me so happy to watch. I have so much fun with it, and I really hope you guys loved it as much as I did. I will never forget being there opening night and cheering through the whole movie. And even Daredevil's appearance is pretty cool. Like, that's exciting enough. This movie is a treat. And I loved it. Please let me know, what's your favorite parts? What spoilers do you want to talk about? That's just, let me know in the comments, or just send me a message. I want to talk about this movie. I've been waiting so long to talk about this movie. I'm so excited to finally get to talk about it. It's awesome. There's nothing like it. It just makes me so happy. It is truly a great Spider-Man movie. And with that, thanks for watching. So I just got home and I'm going to post the video, and I realized I didn't even talk about Aunt May's death. And that hit so emotionally hard, and I think it created such a perfect emotional core to the film. And I loved how they used her death as like a spin on the Uncle Ben death in the classic Spider-Man stories. I loved how she was the one to say that with great power comes great responsibility line. And I just loved what it did for the story and how it just built up so much more emotion into the finale. And I thought that was perfect, and it recontextualized the whole trilogy. So I thought that was brilliant. It's just another reason I love the movie.